Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the morning show, Stock Market TV. Spencer, JC, Steve, Rick with you this morning. You guys want to talk about what happened on Friday? Let's talk about what happened on Friday. Let's talk about that. That price action, the rally, the Dow going to a nice big round number. It's all very exciting stuff. We'll talk all about it right now. I'm sure the guys have things to say. We have a bunch of really good earnings charts in the deck. I want to get to those today as well. Just some great reactions, or some maybe not great in the sense that like things are going up, but just reactions worth paying attention to. That's what we'll say from last week. It is, of course, still earnings season. We got a lot of big reports coming up this week. We'll preview that. I do have a HIMS chart in the deck. HIMS getting cracked this morning. Not a good morning if you're a HIMS and hers. Anyway, we'll have Kenny hop on. I know he was having some computer issues. We'll have Sam Gatlin stop in for a few. And what happened on Friday? Friday was just a great day. Let's talk all about it. You ready? I'm ready. They're ready. Let's dance.
Dow 50,000.
Hello.
It happened.
It did.
It's a big one.
Is it?
It's a big one, JC.
I feel like you fight me on this sort of thing. Why is it big?
I mean, what's there to fight about? It's an arbitrary number.
Is it?
I don't know. What's the significance?
Psychologically, you don't think there's Americans are like, whoa, Dow 50,000.
We go through the
You don't think they care?
It was 30,000, whatever, a couple of years ago, and it's 40. Now it's a big deal about 50. We'll make a big deal about 60. We'll make another big deal about 70. We'll make another big deal about 80. So it's nothing we haven't seen before.
Dow 50,000.
I like it. I'm happy for it. Love to see it. Go down. But I think that's about it. The bigger point is that Friday was just a huge broad rally, like really good. Momentum surging. I think follow through today, tomorrow, Wednesday is absolutely critical. And if you get big follow through out here today, you got a tradable low at the least. All these stocks that have been getting crushed, stop cratering. That's a big deal for the broader market.
Throw that up, Spencer. Throw up slide 2.
Slide 2?
Yeah.
What a boring game, huh?
I was going to say, do you think that people were more interested in the Super Bowl or the Dow hitting 50,000? What do you think? I think they're more interested in the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody gives a shit that the Dow's hitting 50,000.
And it was not an interesting Super Bowl.
I think it happened on a Friday, which didn't help things. I think it was
Friday, the Friday before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Remind me again, when was Dow 40K? When was that?
I don't know. JC knows.
Tell you right now.
It happened twice. Before the April sell-off and again off of it.
We hit 40,000 for the first time in 2024, summer 24.
Okay,
right? And we rallied into the end of 24 and then sold off into the spring last year, right? Which retested those 22 highs. The low last in the spring was around 36,500. Back to those former highs at 45,000, which is where it peaked. And now we're at 50,000. So, yeah, this is big. And then if it was just this on its own, but if you go to the next couple of charts, if it was just this on its own, I would say, put it into context, kind of like, is everything else rolling over and it's just the Dow? Equally weighted S&P 500 also hitting new all-time highs. And if you go to the next chart, so this equally weights all of them. So you're looking at the average stock. Throw up the value line there. I think you got to refresh that. Throw up the value line index. So the value line index, geometric in particular, represents the median stock. So if it's just the Dow, it's just the headliners, that's one thing. But the median stock hitting new multi-year highs, the average stock in the S&P 500. By the way, I was thinking mathematically. I'm not like a statistics guy. The equally weighted S&P 500, go back to that one. The equally weighted S&P 500, that would be indicative of the average stock. Do I have that right mathematically? Is that statistically correct, chat?
Brad in the chat says no one even knows what the Dow is. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Listen, I don't disagree with that thought, and I think that's bullish. I think that's bullish. The fact that Dow's hitting 50,000 and nobody gives a fuck.
No, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. No. Nobody cares. All about the big bunny and the this and the Lady Gaga. I get it.
The baloney.
I get it. So I think personally, yes, that's statistically correct. Okay, so the average stock. So we're all confirming that it's accurate to say that the average stock is making new all-time highs, and then you got the median stock making new cycle highs. And then throw up the next one. Throw up the mid caps. So for me, I group these three together. I don't know if that's right, but that's the way I've done this for a long time. You got the mid cap 400, the value line, and the equally weighted S&P 500. To me, are like that middle ground of the market for right or wrong. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's how I've always thought about it. You think that's okay?
Yeah. The action here, I mean, crazy bullish.
Advanced decline line on the New York Stock Exchange, new all-time highs. Most new 52-week highs on the New York Stock Exchange in over a year. Right? Wow. So why don't we get into it? Let's do a little state of the markets and talk about it. That's a big deal. A lot happened. Yeah.
Hit it.
All right, what do we got? What do we got? We got the Dow, 50,144. Think about that. This is the first morning ever in our entire careers that we can actually say, where's the Dow this morning? 50,140. Never been able to say that. How about that? Down 65 on the day. S&P 500 relatively flat, 69.42. NASDAQ 100 down 0.25%, 25,100. 30-year bond futures down 0.25%, 115 and change. Crude oil down almost 0.5%, 63 1/4. Copper pretty flat, 587, still under 6 there. Gold up almost 1%, 5 1/4. Silver up 3%, 79.30, and the BEX up a little bit, 18 and change. Over in funny money land, whoa! What a week for funny money. You got Bitcoin, 69,000 even, down 1,200 points on the day. You got Ethereum, 2,000 and change, down 2% on the day. Solana, 84, down 3% on the day, and that's the total crypto market cap. Spencer Israel, 2.33 trillion. 2.33 trillion.
How about Japan? Woo.
Yeah, man. Why are they saying you Americans lost money overall? Speak for yourself. I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. Pretty good year for me. Who's losing money?
I don't know what that means, Tommy.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know anything. We don't know anything about losing money.
People were implying to me over the weekend that the United States is the next Zimbabwe. Do you agree with that?
No, you gotta be careful what you listen to. People like to hate this country and say crazy things. So always looking out for that.
You don't think this is the next Zimbabwe?
I don't.
I don't know. That Monkey Pants 69,420 seemed pretty excited about the U.S. becoming the next Zimbabwe. I don't know. He seemed pretty convincing.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Monkey Pants 69,420 on Twitter. He told me that we're the next Zimbabwe.
Oh no.
Throw up. Did you hear what your favorite orange man said over the weekend? Throw that up there. Throw up that slide too. The orange man is out on the Twitter. I don't think this is the Twitter. I think this was his own. What's the righty one?
Yeah, I don't know. Truth Social.
That's it. Truth Social. I think it was on Truth Social, not on the Twitter.
Yeah,
he says Dow 100,000. Strazza, do you believe him? Do you believe him?
By the end of his term, he's probably right, dude. He's got time. Time's on his side.
I don't know anything about politics. I don't know anything about what these guys can do or not do. But dude, if this guy's out there saying 100,000, whether it's legal or not, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But I'm pretty sure he's going to do whatever he can to get us there. Well, I'm pretty sure like his ego is not going to let him fail. Am I wrong?
Well, just think about it. 20K to 30K took about 4 years. 30K to 40K took 2.5. And then 40K to 50K took 1.5.
Yeah, but you're thinking arithmetically, Spencer.
I'm thinking about just the pace of change. And
it's not the pace of change. You're thinking arithmetically. You got to think logarithmically.
My brain doesn't go that direction.
Well, it needs to start, right? It needs. Tell him, Strazza.
I think it's totally possible, but it'll have nothing to do with the president, as always.
The only way Dow 100,000 happens is if they nuke the dollar. How are you guys not seeing this? I'm seeing it. Monkey Pants 69. That's what he was telling me over the weekend. Dow's going to 100,000, but the dollar's worthless, and it's a net loss, apparently. The Dow doubling in the next 3 years is a net loss, according to Mr. Pants.
I'll say it again. I've said it before. Stay away from these debasement people. Okay? Everybody's got that friend who's talking about currency debasement. Just walk the other way.
When they say fiat, just take a drink.
Get new friends.
Oh man, this is real life, guys. This is real life. What about the old Bitcoin?
No, JC, this is somebody put it in the chat. You're absolutely right. Fibonacci got a shout out in the Super Bowl commercials. You heard that?
Mary was texting me the same thing. I have 3 kids. I'm chasing them around. So I was, in and out. And the game was boring. So tell me what happened with the Fibonacci.
I don't know. I just heard Fibonacci in one of the commercials. I was barely paying attention to. Spencer,
you see it,
yeah.
Spencer?
Dunkin' Donuts, your favorite, JC. Dunkin'.
The Dunkin' commercial was the best. The Ben Affleck.
Tell me what happened. I didn't see.
Fibonacci got a shout out in Dunkin'.
How?
They parodied Good Will Hunting with Ben Affleck as like the guy, as Matt Damon. And they must have said the word Fibonacci sequence like 5 times.
Stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta go see it.
Totally.
Check your Slack. It's in there.
No, I know. Mary texted me. It was after the Coinbase commercial, I think she said.
Yeah.
Ratio. Coinbase's commercials were a bit strange. I didn't really get them. I didn't get it.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. How many crypto commercials did you see last night? I saw one. I saw the Coinbase, and that was it.
Oh yeah. No, you're saying there weren't a lot. Yeah.
No. I only saw the one. Granted,
they're always there.
I missed the years of Larry David. All the crypto commercials. Remember that?
It's like 2021.
Well, that was all. What's his face? What's the guy playing?
That was FTX.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried. He was paying for all that shit, right?
That's right.
All right.
I hated the coin commercials. Okay.
What about
wrong word?
Can we talk about the Barons cover this weekend? Throw up slide 2.
Didn't see it.
Strazza's boycotting Barons now.
Fibonacci munchkins. They could do donuts and put the golden ratio, put a little swirl on them.
Dude, I love this. I can't wait to watch it. I can't believe I missed this. Yeah, Mary was texting me. I couldn't believe it, but I got to see it.
Robots are real?
What do you think? What do you think? Is this a fade? What do you guys think in the chat? Right on the cover of Barron's this weekend. Robots are real. And here's your Robo ETF. These are all the robotics and automations.
Are robots and AI the same? Do we want to think about these things as the same thing? They're kind of different.
That's a great question, actually.
You know what I mean?
Yes, because there's humanoid. There's the AI robotics, and then there's just like regular old, biotech robotics for surgeries and industrial robotics, right? That's like a different thing entirely. So
I agree, Spencer. I agree. I wouldn't bucket these two together.
I don't know. They're not. I don't know what's in this, but
all I'm saying is, is it a fade?
What?
Yeah, but this cover could have gone out at any point in the last 6 years. So
yeah, but it came out on Saturday, not in the last 6 years, right? So over the last 6 years, this thing hasn't done diddly fucking squat, and it just made a new all-time high, and now they put it up. That's the point, Spencer. That's the point. Exactly what you just said. They could have put it up at any time in the last 6 years. Yes, they could have, but they didn't. They put it up now. The minute it made a new all-time high. If this son of a bitch fails, If that fails and that gets back below those 2020, 2021 highs, you short the crap out of this. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, the truth is these are just industrial stocks. Like this isn't some.
Then you're betting it's gonna stick the landing and rip from here, and we're just getting started, right? That's the bet.
Probably, yeah. Look, it's a nice base
breakout. If this fails, I'm not. There's nothing bearish about new highs. I'll be the first person to tell you that. All I'm saying is that it smells fishy. It smells fishy. Back in the day, like in the late 1800s, dude, you should have seen and even in the early 1900s, all the fish markets downtown when the meatpacking district actually packed meat, all of that. Dude, these fish used to stink like hell, man. You used to be able to smell that shit all across Lower Manhattan. It smells fishy. That's what this smells like.
I like two robotic stocks I've been in for a long time now. The Rockwell Automation, ROK, and the ABBNY. It used to just be ABB. I don't know where that stock went, but that's another huge robotics company overseas. Buy the big ones. They're just industrials. JC, they're all going to be making robots eventually. You got to. You got to make the robots now. It's 2026. You can't not make robots.
My wife says no robots in the house, right? Because we got little kids.
She's probably watching too many Netflix movies.
No, my wife doesn't watch any Netflix, dude. We used to back in the day, and then we started having kids. Now, as soon as they're out, we go right to sleep. You know, we got to get a rest. You'll see one day. Listen, throw up the healthcare. Nobody's talking about healthcare. You know, we should have talked to Todd Sohn. Throw up slide 8. We should have talked to Todd Sohn about the positioning in software because nobody owns this shit. Who wants to talk about, did I say software? Healthcare, Matt.
Healthcare? Yeah.
Is that a Freudian slip? No, throw up the absolute chart.
Yeah, we like the healthcare here.
Throw up the absolute chart.
There's some big movers happening within healthcare the past few days.
Pfizer's jonesing for a breakout.
Jonesing?
Yeah.
Jonesing for a breakout.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that new highs. So here we go. So Pfizer jonesing for a breakout, says Mr. Strazza. But healthcare, highest weekly close in the history of healthcare, Mr. Strazza.
I don't see that. Not on my chart.
You don't see what?
Highest close.
Highest weekly close in the history of healthcare. What are you talking about?
A weekly close?
Yeah. You're gonna question me on this one?
It's in a range, bro.
Oh no, nobody's denying that. I'll give you that. But
breakout.
Highest all-time high weekly close. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's just math.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Funny.
It hasn't. You make it sound like it broke out already. You got to see a breakout. Nobody's
talking about any breakouts. It's the highest weekly close of all time, right?
But when you talk like that, highest weekly close.
Highest weekly close ever.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It makes it sound like it broke out, but it didn't.
I'm just telling facts, bro.
Yeah.
Just telling facts. Spencer, tell them. It's just facts.
Get yourself a daily chart.
I got those. But you see, the weekend we just finished, so I have the weekly charts, right? You see, I do the daily charts at the end of the day, weekly charts at the end of the week, monthly charts. You know, you should look it up. I've talked about it once or twice over the years.
No, that's good.
But here's the thing, and this is the bigger point. Throw up the relative chart. So healthcare is the
wow.
Fifth, yeah, right. So the entire bull market, this line's been going down.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. So you've got healthcare was outperforming going into the low in the S&P 500. And as soon as S&P started really taking off at the end of 2022, early 2023, this thing just completely collapsed on a relative basis, and people forgot that healthcare existed. So healthcare right now, it's the 5th largest component of the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, 5th largest of all three. It's 12% of the S&P 500. It's 10% of the Dow. No, 10% of the S&P 500, 12% of the Dow, but it's only 4% of the NASDAQ 100. But here's an interesting point. If you look at the NASDAQ next 100, 101 through 200, right? Healthcare is actually the 2nd largest component, and it's 20% of the next 100. So healthcare is big time in the United States. This is not Canada. They're not allowed to have healthcare stocks in Canada. This is America. America. Isn't it like the largest employer? Don't like every state, the biggest employer is healthcare?
Yale, New Haven is the largest employer in Connecticut.
Shout out Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So much Connecticut lately for me.
That's good.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Strazza.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be the first to say that there's so many different things going on in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
It's not one thing. It's a lot of things. There's more differences industry group to industry group in healthcare than maybe any other sector, right?
Yeah. Definitely up there for sure.
Got biotechs, pharmaceuticals,
Totally.
Managed health.
Very diverse sector.
Equipment and devices. Right,
Incredibly
you got all
diverse.
kinds of different things.
You got
nothing to
offense
do with
and
each other.
defense. Yeah,
because financials, you got a lot of different things too. But you know, this is really you get very, very big differences in the types of companies that are quote unquote in healthcare. CVS and those companies are in healthcare, by the way. The pot stocks are in healthcare. I think they should be consumer discretionary, but they're healthcare.
I think they should be consumer staples.
They should be consumer staples. Fine. Put them in with tobacco. I don't disagree with that. Consumer of some kind, not healthcare. What about CVS? CVS should probably be a consumer stock too, not healthcare.
Staples. Yep. There's a lot of staples in healthcare, though. That's why this ratio looks like this.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's a good point, actually. It's a good point.
Since we're talking about healthcare, you want
to
since we're talking about healthcare, you want to just bring up slide 10 real fast? The hymns and the hers they announced over the weekend.
So you said like buy the hymn. This is not like a buy and hold forever situation. This is a rent it, ride it, and then let it go. You don't buy dips in the hymns and hers.
Well, so what had happened was
it probably ends badly eventually.
It's ending badly right now. But I think last week, I think it was last week. I think Novo had
they can't sell the fat drugs anymore.
Said they were going to sue Hims and Hers for selling the weight loss drugs. So
what took so long?
So Hims and Hers announced over the weekend that they're going to stop selling the Wegovy or whatever flavor of weight loss drug that they sell. So it's down 21% this morning. So this chart doesn't even show that. But
Strazza, but what about the other pills? Strazza's been doing boots on the ground research with some of the other pills that Hims and Hers. Can you give some feedback as to how well that's working out for you, buddy?
No, I haven't, but I know that their boner pill business is very popular.
How popular is the boner pill business?
They talk about it in their earnings reports, so it's not a secret.
You don't know anything about them?
No.
All right. Maybe I was wrong. What about you, Spencer? You taking any of these boner pills or no?
No.
He takes the ones from the gas stations.
What?
No, you can't do that.
Gas station.
You can't do that. You got to stay away. I mean, I'm scared of all that shit. I don't do, I've never done any drugs. I'm scared of all that shit. I would never. Especially something so important as that. Like, I wouldn't fuck with that shit.
Surprised there were no Super Bowl ads for him.
Were there last year? I think there may have been, right? Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Why don't we bring in Kenny? Maybe he knows a thing or two about this kind of thing. He's a little bit older than we are.
All right. I hope not. Kenny, are you here?
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they took it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Kenny,
what's up, Holmes?
What's the deal? Happy Dow 50,000.
Yes. Do you have your Dow 50,000 hat?
I got a Dow 25,000 hat.
Oh, nice. I have a Dow 20,000 hat somewhere.
New York Steinstein.
What is that from?
I don't know.
Oh, I remember getting a Dow 5,000 hat.
New York Stock Exchange Stein. I don't know why that is. What were you saying?
I'm at a Dow 5,000. I was there. I still have the business week when it hit 5,000.
So I was going to ask you. I'm glad that you brought that up. I was specifically going to ask you. Like you have more experience. What was your first day in finance? Period. What was your first day on the street?
Oh, I was out in Long Island, Boiler Room.
What year?
93, maybe 94. I dipped my toe in. I walked in and I didn't even know where to sit. You had the Russian table. No, this IPO. You had a bunch of gangsters, which they were just gangsters. I mean, I was like, what table is that? I want to hang with those guys. They were just like doing that thing, and then you had some other I don't know what was going on, so I was just like, where do I sit? It was like prison. I was like, but I just sat somewhere. The guy handed me a script. Here, sell this thing, and I was
so you were commuting from Brooklyn up to Long Island?
Yeah.
What town in Long Island?
Oh, Huntington, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and just rolled in there. The guy hands me a script, and it was just right out of Boiler Room. Not Wolf of Wall Street. This was Boiler Room. This was script guy. I got called in to the office. They made fun of my suit. Buy a new suit. The whole Ben Affleck.
That was Wall Street. Oh no, that was Boiler Room too, right?
That was Ben Affleck's speech.
Yeah.
I had that speech. The guy's making fun of my suit, and he's telling me I got to go.
We don't hire brokers. We train new ones.
Yeah, go buy some books and all that kind of stuff. And he said, listen, if anybody actually engages you in a conversation, just yell my name. I'll come running over. And that was it. We were selling, no joke, we were selling the glow-in-the-dark license plates. When you had, they were selling like neon that you put under your car.
Yeah.
That was the stock we were pitching. And it was actually, the thing is, I called the company just to see it. It was a legitimate company, which was one step above most of the stuff they were selling, because they were fake companies completely. I mean, we did a deal called Red Hot Concepts, and the idea was that they had the licensing to open up Domino's Pizza in Europe, which is a completely fabricated story. It didn't exist. It didn't matter. But we just kept saying Domino's Europe, Domino's Europe. Oh, Domino's Europe. I was like, yeah, we got whatever the guy just told me. How many shares you want, Mr. Jones? Yeah, it was just awful. Yeah.
And so someone like you, who's old school, like very old school, as you just as everyone just witnessed, what does the Dow 50,000 mean to you? Do you care? Is it like a thing?
Yeah, it does. I used to trade diamonds. I always thought
you're the only person I know who trades diamonds.
Yes. Well, we were just having this conversation about.
And for those who don't know, the diamonds are what 25 years ago were what the ETF for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, DIA. It used to be called the diamonds. The Qs used to be called the cubes, right?
Yeah.
And then the spies were the spiders, right? That's where that comes from. So you got the spiders, the cubes, and because it used to be 4Q, right?
It used to be
then
4.
all the people, 4Q.
Then they went 4. Then they went back. I don't know. They're having an identity problem. But the diamonds, you're still around. The thing about that's what we were just talking about. Most stocks, again, the reason I'm bearish the market is because I was born into that awful part of the market. Most stocks that I've owned have had a shelf life. Either they've done well, they've rolled over and died, or I've owned the Chinese stock or some other scammy bullshit. But we were just talking about this. The diamonds or the Dow, it's not the same club as it used to be, nor is anything the S&P 500 or the QQQ. When the weakling in the back of the pack is about to die, they shoot them and they kick them out of the club to keep this perpetual, idea of the market never going down. Most stocks stink, but the market doesn't go down. So it's very hard to be that stock picker. And that's why passive investing in these ETFs have really taken off. And over the last 20, 30 years, I used to own something called the XCI. It's still around. It was the first computer tech ETF. It was Microsoft. They called it Wintel at the time, Windows and Intel. You had Cirrus Logic, AMD, and the XCI. I don't know if you could trade it out there, but I still see it on charts.
It's a New York Stock Exchange index.
That is a throwback right there. I called my broker back in those days, and you had to call your broker. And I wanted to buy this. I was like, I'm into tech, and I was like, this is like a group of tech stocks.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with.
It goes back a long time. I'm looking at a long-term chart of this thing. Wow.
That was the first tech thing I ever bought. My first stock was IGT, which was awesome. I mean, slot machines. I had just come back from Vegas. Every machine was made by one company. I was like, this is a no-brainer. And it turned out to be really good. But it's been a long time. Dow 50,000 to me, it's just like it's a conversation to have with my father, because we were both, when I started as a broker, I remember I still have the business week when you hit Dow 50,000. So long time.
Dow 5,000.
Dow 5,000 to 50,000.
You have the Dow 5,000 Business Week?
Somewhere, blue cover. I remember when it was sitting there. Yeah.
Find it. I need that one for my collection. I got some collection. I got to organize all this stuff.
I got all my Kiplingers somewhere. All my Investor
Alert.
Daily. Yeah. Investor Business Daily. I used to love the New America section, Investors Business Daily. I'd read that and could quote it verbatim to my clients. They thought I was so smart. I'm like, yeah, I knew everything.
You know that fun fact, Investors Business Daily is how I got into technical analysis.
Oh,
Fun
really?
fact. Yeah, because I used to read IBD on the way to work from the bus from Hoboken into the city every day. And I would read IBD. And they used to have this little section on the corner where it was like, how many new highs, new lows,
Yes.
Advanced decline lines and moving out. And I was like, what is all this shit? And that was it.
The accumulation distribution ratio. That was the first thing. I was like, that makes sense to me. I was like, let me go check that stuff out. Yeah, that's kind of where. And again, technical analysis.
IBD.
We before it was truly technical analysis. It was just tape reading. When we first got access to the level 2, you were just watching level 2 and watching market makers to see who the market maker was in charge that day. We called them the axe, and we were able to sows in, small order execution in. And then we would select net out so you could send your order directly.
Yeah, but how long did that last? Because Sean was in that. Sean is old enough to have done that as well. How long did that last?
Well, that was a good 2.5, 3 years. And at first,
Can you explain that to the folk. Explain that quickly to the people that they don't know what that means.
Oh,
this was like a hack in the market for like 2.5, 3 years in the 90s. So what years exactly and how did it work?
Yeah, so I mean, when small order, and if you guys want a book about it, there's a story written by Harvey Houken, the So's Bandits. That's how we got started.
So's Bandits, right?
Yeah, so you were able to get a quick order in, and then there was another system called SelectNet, and there was a lot of glitches in the system. Plus, we were on eighths and quarters, and the market was moving so fast, and we finally had access to just being a market maker. You would never get on the bid and sell on the offer. You didn't even know that existed until this, and so basically, you would just get a quick order in. You could swipe. It was called an offer swipe. You would just take them all off the offer because they would show 100 or 1,000 shares. You get in, and then you'd figure out which market maker was the guy controlling the day, and you would just send your order directly to them. So sows in, select net out. But what was, for a good, gotta say 9 months, we were just exploiting glitches. Quarters were being mistaken for, 3 quarters and 8. I was just, if you would just type your own erroneous order in and see if anybody hit you. And then there was no law. If you got printed 3 points out of the market on 1,000 shares, you were just waiting for Goldman Sachs to call you specifically. And that's where made day's pay was from. Goldman would call us.
That's where that comes from, make a day's pay?
Yeah, we did we just did 2,000 shares out of the market for 8 points. We need to break that trade. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's a note on the trader's desk that said made day's pay. Sorry. And we'd hang up. And they basically petitioned the SEC to create this law where they had a half an hour to break the trade because we were basically ripping them off. It was their fault. They were just mistaking 8s for 3s and 2s for 4s. And we were just catching them, 3 or 4 points below the market and then just getting out of the trade. Then they made us wait a half an hour so they could call. So we just had a bunch of egg timers on our desk waiting to see if they would call. If they didn't call within a half an hour, you got to book the profit. And then our company would defend our honor.
Throw up the book. So this is So's Bandits.
You got So's Bandits?
The Secrets of So's Bandits. Throw up the book, guys. So this is the original electronic trader reveals his battle-tested trading techniques.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Of the So's Bandits.
There's the story of how it began, and then there's the story. There's the one where he talks about that's a combination of both of that. Yeah, that's a good book.
Nice. I never read it. I just hear about it.
Yeah, I have the original manuscript. So anybody wants it, come to the schmooze. I'll give you a copy.
The original manuscript. This is how old Kenny is. But you guys are older than me. I wasn't around for this. What years were these exactly?
Well, I guess when I first walked in, it was Daytech or Signet had spun into Daytech, and Daytech had broken into a couple of different companies. So let me see. It was roughly 94, 90. Yeah. So basically 95, I guess, 95, 96 was the first time I saw it. It's just that when I was just after being a broker for 8 or 9 months, I knew that wasn't for me. And then I just happened to run into a fraternity brother who was getting started. And I walked in there, and next thing you know, I'm like, so we could trade our own accounts here? If you got money. I was like, I have some money. Let's go. And that was it. Off and running.
Dude, I love it. I love the throwback conversation. All right, well, let's talk about what's moving. Big move. Dow, speaking of the Dow, up 1,200 on Friday. 1,200 for the Dow. How you doing? Big move for the NASDAQ. A lot of new all-time highs across the board. giving a little back this morning, but basically flat all in comparison. So what's moving this morning? What's on your radar?
Yeah,
Trading that?
Another big HIMS. Yeah, we were just talking about that also. There are certain stocks where if something's down, I want to buy the dip, like Coinbase on Friday, which, guys, hope you guys participated in that rally. But let me get to that point. We were just talking about this, about how, we can have these conversations, and on the schmooze last week, we were anticipating a crash, and we started to get it. I mean, the Qs were at 587 overnight, and I was 3 points away from my target. And then the Bitcoin turned, the Qs turned, volatility started falling off, and that was it. So, one guy, I know it was only one person, they're like, well, I thought you said the market was going to crash. I'm like, well, it kind of did, and now it's not. What can I tell you? UVXY is tanking. Let's buy stocks. I was like, listen, Coinbase is up 9 points. I was hoping to buy it cheaper, but it's still going to go to 160 today, and Hood's probably going to still bounce, and MicroStrategy is going to rip your head off. So the crash happened. What could I do? And you just had to participate in the rally. But for me, it was Reddit. Let me show you that chart. That was my favorite trade of the day.
What is Reddit technically? Is it communications or is it software?
I always thought it was just people selling.
Not that you give a shit, but I do.
I don't even know what Reddit is anymore. I used to get tattoo ideas off this one little section of it, and I made some friends.
Reddit is another one of these like fake social media companies. It's just like bot infested. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, but what the part of this
communications, yeah.
Even when the market was ripping higher, Reddit was just keeping us on the short side. And then finally, when it did bounce, you got blue line and orange line. Orange line, said, what, no more of this buying. And then in a market that was really, really strong, obviously, this stock told you everything you need to know about trading, because when a stock is bucking the overall trend of the day, the beginning trader says, all right, the market's going to catch up to this. Let's buy some. It doesn't work like that. It usually stays in the trend of the stock. So this one was an amazing short. Some of the guys were jumping in on the long trade to play that reversion, but I got short again later in the day, and it was pretty awesome. And the way Amazon traded on Friday, it was just a clinic. It was just beautiful. We waited for the dip. Like, how could this market not buy some Amazon at one point? And then it got blue line to the orange line, and then orange line back to blue, and then blue back to orange. You're talking about 300, 400% gains on the weekly options, just sticking with Amazon, sticking with Reddit. I was pissed about the Coinbase. I couldn't get into it at those levels. MicroStrategy, I missed the Bitcoin bounce. So I just stayed stayed in my lane, literally, and just traded Reddit and Amazon. So today I'm just looking at Cliffy. Cliff reported earnings, so I got to keep an eye on this. Love this stock. I love it down here. This one I've been, this one and Halliburton were my old school favorite stocks. This one and Transocean. So I'll be looking at when the volume comes back onto this. I definitely am looking at HIMS, but this is what I was going to say. Just like the Chinese stocks, I boycott. I think the stock's going to zero. I'm still sticking to it. I think it's a whole scam of the company, kind of like that Herbal Leaf thing with the Ackman. But now they're getting exposed. And again, normally I would look to try to play a bounce on this, but I'm going to ignore it because I don't want to try to play a bounce on it. I hope it goes to zero. And I mean, that's where I'm at. And of course, the Qs. I mean, the market, I think
You think it will go to zero? Isn't just everybody just assumes that?
If there's really if there really is some flim flam going on here, again, I read some awful stuff about the company too. So just not.
Is that a technical term? Flim flam?
Yes, the flim flam.
All right, a new one on me.
And then of course the Qs. Again, I gotta just I'm thinking volatility is not going away. So we gotta digest that monstrous move. You had the Qs basically going from 587 to 611. That's a monster move. So you got to think we're going to consolidate that move today. And if we do get something going on the upside of UVXY, I'm thinking we could break these lows from the overnight, and maybe it does get a little bit more.
Explain to me why you've explained it to me. Explain to the folks why the UVXY is so important.
Yeah, UVXY is it's better than the VIX because it's giving you this intraday volatility. So it's warning you for what the day has in store for you. So that's why, again, it's so important to see the overnight. This was Thursday night. And then by Friday, fear was gone. And then there was no fear. And then you just had to assume the market was going to rally into the close, which it did. So today, it's already crashed overnight. Now it's trying to make a comeback. If UVXY shows any strength, especially on a Monday where it tends to disintegrate, it's built on futures just think about it. It's an option contract stock. So the contracts expire. This thing has to go down. So when it does stay strong for a day or two, like it was Tuesday and Wednesday, the market's got some serious sellers out there. So now on a day like today, where you're anticipating some give back, I want to see UVXY staying strong. And if it gets really strong, that's when the sell-offs become more intense.
So if we start getting above that,
if you're above
39 and a quarter, 39.30.
If we're above 39 and a quarter, all hell might be breaking loose.
All right. Shout out to hell.
Yeah, we're talking 400 or 500. I mean, we went up 1,200 points on Friday. What the hell was that? It's just it's nuts. But it happened. So giving back 300 or 400 of that makes complete sense. And if you want to, call it rational, go ahead. So
hey, find me that business week of Dow 5,000. I'll buy it off of you.
Great. Now I'm gonna have to go dig down.
And you can buy more silver with it. All right.
I'll buy some love
with that cash. Don't spend it all in one place.
All right. I bought some love letters for my high school girlfriends too. All right.
Nice. Kenny Glick in the house. Join him. Hitthebid.com. Maybe the greatest URL ever. Hitthebid.com. So good.
Thank you.
Well done, sir.
Have a nice day. And that was a great Super Bowl. I'm glad I hope you all had Seattle. Parlays are the worst things, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, later, bro. Kenny Glick. That was good. Nice old stories. You learned something, Spencer?
I always learn something when I talk to Kenny. Yeah. Kenny, you know what? It's funny about, since you mentioned stories, he doesn't let on that he has a lot of stories. He just goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, this crazy thing happened," but he doesn't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't let on that like he saw some crazy stuff back in the day. If it comes up, it comes up, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's sort of like a bottomless pit.
I have found myself becoming as the old man in the room. More and more in recent years. I'm always the old, I'm the oldest man a lot, unless Sean's around. He's a little bit older, but not that much older. Talking to people who were doing it before me, doing things that didn't exist by the time I came around. Kenny's talking about 1993. I didn't come for another decade later, right? So like that's a big window of time that Kenny was in that I was not. I was talking to Mark Chaikin at dinner the other night. He graduated college in 1964. That was 40 years before me, dude. Like, that's a long time. Talking to Jeff Weiss, right? How great is Jeff Weiss? How good was he in Miami? Dude, that guy was out of control. Shout out to Jeff Weiss. Hearing stories about like when options first started trading in the 70s and shit like that. I love that. I love it. Love it.
Hey, I know we have Sam coming on. I hope that he's here to talk about earnings because we have a bunch of good reports coming this week. We're gonna get Robinhood. We're gonna get Spotify. We're gonna get Coinbase. We're gonna get I had the whole list up. A slide. What slide is that? This guy's slide 17 now. I mentioned Spotify. Shopify, is that on there too? Yeah. DraftKings is on Thursday. So we got a lot. And there was a lot last week too. There was a lot to talk about in the way of reactions. We had some good reactions and some really, really bad reactions talking about healthcare. Right. So should we just bring Sam out and talk about all this stuff? Because I think he put this together. So Sam, I hope you're ready because I've got.
I hope you're ready. No pressure.
I've got the charts right here, so you better be ready.
Sam Gatlin in the house.
Yo. What's up?
Sam's one of those people that makes me feel like the old man in the room.
That's what I'm here for, JC.
He's very young.
I'm like, you got to put the quail egg in the neck with the uni together, right? Strazza, teach him how to do it, and then then get another one separately with the uni, no quail egg, so you could do really a side by side pairing to see kind of like where your head is at. And I've gone back and forth with this, but I'm with the quail egg. You got it. I like both, and I still do both, but I prefer the quail egg with the uni.
You don't even need to try it the other way, Sam. It's just so much better with the egg.
Yeah, I think you do. I think it's very rich, and I think if you want to have maybe some, I had some uni with the salmon roe the other day.
Yeah.
And a sparkling sake to go with it. I gotta tell you, it's pretty good. And I'm not like a roe guy. Like I'll eat the roe if it's in front of me, but I don't go out of my way to order it. I gotta tell you, the roe mixed with the uni.
The balls are too big in the roe. You know,
they're like gushers. They're like gushers for adults.
In your mouth, big balls.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not obsessed over them, but I gotta tell you, mix it a little bit of rice, not a lot, a little bit of rice at the bottom, salmon roe, uni, and then a sparkling sake. I gotta tell you, it's pretty good.
You can put it on bagels. The roe goes on bagels, not bad. Dude, caviar on the bagel is like legit. That's yeah, dude. Yeah. Deviled eggs and bagels. Don't overlook those. They're incredibly bullish vehicles for caviar.
Wow, bagels with caviar?
Yeah.
Like an everything bagel? No.
You don't need it. I do an egg bagel. Typically an egg bagel.
Oh, really an egg bagel. Yeah. Okay, I can see how that works. I'm definitely not going to do that, but all right.
A little scallion cream cheese, and what you do is you cut the bagel into like fourths, right? So, and then you eat it like a pizza, and you put a dollop at a time. What?
That's what happens. That's what happens, Sam. Before a couple charts here, a couple charts there. Next thing you know, you're putting caviar on the bagels.
Hey, I'm learning from the best here, not just the technicians, but you guys know how to eat. I mean, every single time I get with you guys for the Portfolio Accelerator, my mind's blown with some new food I've never tried before. Like
if there's one thing that we don't miss at Sam, JC and I, it's eating. We don't miss.
I am a professional. I am a professional eater and drinker. Like, oh, JC, we need you to go out to dinner, close this deal. Psst, this is what I do. Are we at dinner? Are we at a Japanese restaurant? The deal's closed. I got this, right? Like I'm in my element. You know what I'm saying? Like eating is very important and I'm really good at it. And drinking wine, forget about it. I'm one of the best in the business.
JC, you really are at both of those things. The best I know, nobody even comes close. Really,
I work hard at it though. It doesn't happen overnight. Like this is like focus.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and it does take work, right? And it's something that you build.
A little bit of effort too.
Experience.
Yeah, a little bit of effort. It doesn't come naturally. You got to work on it, and I continue to work on it.
You've been an inspiration for me.
Brings a tear to my eye. Brings a tear to my eye. All right, Sammy.
No, I'm the same way. You guys are inspiring to me. Sammy,
before Strazza's next caviar session, what's on your mind? You look at a lot of charts, dude. I got to tell you, and for those who don't realize this, and I look at a lot of charts. I got to tell you, you're probably in the conversation up there in terms of like people in this world that look at the most amount of charts. I know I obviously am, but I think you're probably in that conversation too. I'm not going to lie.
JC, I think I'm definitely in that conversation, but what I know for a fact is that I look at more short interest charts than anybody in the world.
That is true. I'll give you that one. You look at more than I do. So yeah, I'll give you that one. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. And then Sam Gatlin, I'm here to say, looks at more short interest charts than any other human on the entire planet of Earth. Facts only.
Yeah.
Facts only.
Sam does a tremendous job in general. You put him on an area, right? You put him onto some sort of a project or area of the market, and dude just takes it, runs with it, makes it his, builds on it, makes it better. And you really did that with our freshly squeezed scan over the years, in a big way. Crushed it.
So talk to me, Sam. You're looking at all these charts. What does it mean?
Well, I think we wanted to start out this conversation with earnings. We have a lot of earnings coming up this week. And
yeah, man.
JC, you posed the question over the weekend about which stock you're shorting this week. And I said I'm shorting the Robinhood. And, I said it kind of tongue in cheek that my target was 0 and my stop was like 85. I think it's that prior cycle peak. You're risking $2 to make unlimited downside, essentially. And the amount of hate I got in the comments on Twitter was out of control. I mean, people couldn't fathom me saying Robinhood's going to 0. And again, I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but also kind of not. Robinhood looks really bad. I think you're seeing a lot of these former market darlings roll over, look really vulnerable to further downside. And historically, you see these earnings events act as major catalysts for these very high growth stocks like Robinhood. So I think Robinhood could easily get slammed this week, down 10%, and it's been punished for the last 3 earnings events. So the market clearly doesn't like what's going on here, and it looks a lot like the Hims and Hers chart, right at that prior cycle peak, and Hims and Hers closed below that last week, and here it is today, down 20%. So I think Robinhood could very easily be in that same boat.
They both recently turned profitable. I would say Robinhood's newfound profitability probably a whole lot more sustainable than Hims and Hers. But look, the chart does look a little scary there. It's definitely distribution, right?
Totally, yeah. You can't argue with this chart. And the risk reward is so good here. I mean, you're risking $3 and this stock could go back to 30 very easily.
You could argue also that it's due for a catch down move. Hasn't traded under the same kind of pressure as other crypto stocks have. If you simply overlay it with Coinbase, which is something we used to do.
Still a crypto stock?
Yeah, that's where all the growth has come from. Crypto, betting markets, all this new shit. It is literally like the degenerate economy in a ticker.
And they're trying to pump like they have a bunch of futures on there. Like when the precious metals were going nuts, they're like shilling me the silver contracts.
Dude, yesterday on Robinhood, I looked because I couldn't believe it. Somebody said it on Twitter that like you go to put a trade and it's telling you to bet on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, this is in my Robinhood account that I just have. Because sometimes I like to see what stocks are doing in the overnight session, and Robinhood has that trading. So I look at it. That's literally the only reason I have Robinhood. I have like a couple of $1,000s worth of Doge in there. I only know that because I looked live on the morning show a few months ago. So there's just some random Doge in there, and that's my Robinhood account. And so I log in, and sure enough, there it is, telling me to bet on the Super Bowl or sell my Doge, like all in the same.
Can you bet on the Super Bowl in your retirement account?
IRA?
Yeah. No, get this. So on Coinbase, because they listen to you. Your applications, you click certain buttons and like you give them like the permission to spy on you without even knowing. So Coinbase found out all the money I've been putting on Yukon futures on my Hard Rock Bets app and started giving me notifications about the odds for the Huskies to win the national championship on the Coinbase betting markets, and their odds were better. But I didn't do it. And I don't like to see Coinbase copying Robinhood the way that they are. They're really chasing them now, which I think they should have just kind of let them go, which I think was like their initial plan. But now they're doing all the same stuff.
Listen, I don't know anything about regulations or any of this stuff. Maybe I'm just being an angry old guy screaming into the clouds. But I got to tell you, I think the whole thing is all a house of cards. I think it's all a bunch of bullshit. And I think this is a fade all day. All this obsession over these prediction markets. There's no money in it. There's a few $100 million in it. It's nothing. So, I don't know, man. I think the hype is overplayed for sure. I'll take the other side of that.
It's fun. It's funny, but they're not real markets. There's no real money there. Serious people don't use those markets.
But they don't tell you that. They try to convince you that it's the same thing. They're lying to you. The whole thing's a scam. So be careful.
But like, if you're one of those executives, like, it's irresponsible not to do that. Like, you see the way the market's rewarding Robinhood for doing this. It's kind of like putting AI in the company's name, even though you have absolutely nothing to do with AI. That's their job, JC.
A company like Coinbase almost had no choice but to follow after the performance of Robinhood from making all of these, new additions.
Talk to me about these healthcare companies. I'm tired of this company. This conversation. These betting markets are stupid.
Yeah, what's standing out in terms of?
I want to hear about the healthcare. That's what I'm interested in.
Let me see. Did I bring any healthcare?
Yeah, throw up the Molina, the Biogen.
Oh yeah, the Molina. Oh wow, what a disaster here. All right, so they're pretty much completely tied to Medicare and Medicaid, and there's a lot happening in Washington, D.C. right now with respect to that whole situation. Medicare and Medicaid have been a big disaster for many, many years, and it's long overdue that they repair some of the damage there, and it's costing the United States a lot of money. United Health, Cigna, all those big players have probably gotten more money than they should have from the federal government, and that is changing right now. And Molina Healthcare, I think, is the most pure play way to express a bearish thesis on that. And you're seeing the stock get absolutely slammed, and just had its worst earnings reaction ever, and it's trading at the lowest level since 2020. I think, across the board, these stocks are going to look the same. I think United Health likely heading to new lows. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. After that kind of selling, it's typically not done.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, I'm with you.
These are very well-established downtrends, right now, very extended.
And what about the Biogen on the other side?
That you buy.
Yeah, I think you buy the Biogen. Yeah, so, Biogen has a lot of patents that are expiring here soon. It's a big issue across the board pretty much, and big pharma is a patent cliff.
Dude, we start staying above those former lows. This squeeze is crazy on.
Totally.
This is one of like the giant mega pharma biotech stories.
And how come Biogen sucks so much compared to Amgen? For me, I always group those two together, but that's definitely not the right way to do it. Amgen is a whole other animal.
It's a very bifurcated space in terms of, drugs need to get approved and blah, blah, blah. So these leaders don't all look the same. It's not like tech, for that reason. But I think Biogen's coming off a 75% drawdown, reversing trend. Still one of the big guys.
Totally. And you can see that spike there. And I think that was the spring of 2021 when Biogen got their Alzheimer's drug approved. And that was the blow off peak. I think it rallied 100% after hours, and then it was down 20% the next day, or it was something crazy like that. But, curing cancer, curing Alzheimer's, things like that is not good for shareholders. And that was definitely the case here for Biogen. And, there's been a lot of drama about whether or not this is a drug that the government should be paying for, because I think it's $50,000 a year to take their Alzheimer's drug. And, it's not really clear if that's really helping people with Alzheimer's, but nonetheless, they're selling the crap out of it. 150% year-over-year revenue growth for that drug. So shareholders seem to be appreciating that.
Listen, I want to make a hard right turn here. These milk futures absolutely ripping. Can you go down there to slide 38? Throw up the milk futures, and I want to talk about agribusiness in general. Do you think that they're related? Is this milk futures just part of that conversation?
I wouldn't say that. No,
look at this.
I don't know what the situation is here, but I assume there's some type of illness going around with the dairy cows or something like that, some type of very short-term supply crunch would be my assumption here. But man, JC, we talked about it earlier. I look at a lot of charts, and this milk futures chart really stood out to me over my weekend chart review. And this is the classic Kardashian bottom right here.
Yeah. Is this a Kardashian bottom? I guess we lost Sam. You there, Sam?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
For me, a Kardashian bottom, I guess Kardashian bottoms can be fractal, right? So everything is put into context of time. When I think Kardashian bottom, I'm thinking huge bases, but yeah, you're not wrong here. Multi-year there. Yeah, that's pretty Kardashian. So I'll give you that one. New highs there. So then go up to the agribusiness. Right?
Totally. Yeah. Agribusiness is absolutely.
Can you guys put up the udder chart? See that? Come on. Too easy. Here's the agribusiness. So these are the stocks in the business of agriculture. These are not the commodities themselves. This is not the lean hogs and the cattle and the milk and the butter, right? It's none of that stuff. It's the companies themselves.
It's like John Deere.
Yeah.
A lot of John Deere in this ETF. And yeah, I really like how clean this anchored VWAP is from that prior cycle peak, the all-time high. I mean, you got rejected there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And here you are finally decisively reclaiming it. Right as you're seeing participation expand across the board. I just showed you the milk futures absolutely ripping higher. I have another chart that I think is really interesting right now. It's number 34. If we could throw that one up there. A lot of people are talking about energy right now. XLE just broke out above that great financial crisis peak pretty decisively. Energy looks fantastic across the board, but nobody's talking about the grains. Nobody cares at all about things like wheat, corn, soybeans. But historically, these grain products have traded very, very closely with crude oil futures. So if energy is going to be working, I have a very hard time thinking that grains and agricultural products are not going to be working. And these trends can be even stronger than the energy trends. If you
this is a great look at the relationship between wheat and crude oil, sort of inflationary. Yeah, I agree. Taking Care of Business says that it's not a decisive breakout. Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not totally convinced.
In the XLE?
No. In the Moo.
Yeah. What more do you need, JC?
No, I don't know. I'm old fashioned. I don't know. We just got here. I don't know. Maybe it totally rips higher. Yeah, maybe it totally rips higher. I'm not sure.
Look under the surface.
Watching. I'm
a lot of really nice setups. These stocks haven't looked this good.
I like some of the individual stocks better than the ETF itself. Also, remember the ETF, you got a lot of consumer staples in there.
Yeah.
So actually,
those consumer staples also look fantastic.
It's actually 36% of the agribusiness ETF, MOO, 36% is consumer staples. 24% is basic materials, which is wild. You don't see many indexes with 24% materials. Industrials also over 20%, healthcare 18%, and that's literally it. Nothing else.
Totally. Yeah, it's a very different ETF.
So basically, you got four groups. You got staples, materials, industrials, and healthcare. So it's not all defensive because you do have some industrials. So it's not all defensive, but it's so if you're looking for something to complement some of the other things that you own, the agribusiness is really interesting, because you're getting a sort of a different aspect of the market with a much more defensive tilt. So that's interesting look. Yeah.
Totally. And I don't think defensive is bad right now. Like if you throw up, what slide is that? Like number 30 and 31. I mean, you're seeing major rotation into defensive stocks and away from the discretionary stocks. Amazon, one of the largest discretionary stocks in the world, got absolutely hammered after its earnings report last week. There's no love out there for these consumer discretionary stocks, but then you have consumer staples out here posting God candles on the weekly chart.
Dude, that's a legit God candle.
That is textbook God candle. This will be in the
God candle. God candle, for those who don't know, God candle was not a thing when I was coming up, and then the kids kind of ran with it and created this this phrase called the God candle, which is so when you were studying for your CMT and stuff like that, that wasn't a term, right?
No, it was not. But when I write a chapter in the CMT textbook one day, which I'm sure will happen,
I have no doubt.
I'm going to include the God candle. I'm going to include the Kardashian bottom. Those are two patterns that are very near and dear to my heart. And
the great Patrick Dunawilla of the chart report coined the God candle.
Is that right?
Yeah, 8 or 9 years ago, and we started saying it really got hot. We like naming
God
things.
candle.
Yeah, I love naming things. Sam, you'll get in the CMT text. Fonz is in there.
In Investopedia, they've added a few things. They'll add it. They'll add the God candle if they haven't already. Term of the day. All that. Let's say what and get out of here. Market's open. Let's go.
I have a couple quick charts for reading.
What do you got?
Throw up my crypto charts. This is really important. If you're looking to buy the dip, this is a big level, right? Short-term level. All I did here, run through them real quick, was drop VWAPs from the lows from whenever it was, Thursday, right? We're sitting right on them, whether it's Solana, big level here being tested. Do the next one.
These are the low from Thursday night.
ETH. Yep. This is the big blast lower low, sitting right here in the ETH, sitting right here in the Bitcoin. How well does the VWAP work on all time frames and all assets? Just amazing.
Even well done.
Boom. So watch these levels. Whichever way crypto goes from here right now this morning, I think you get follow through. If we go lower, we'll be talking about retest in the coming days. If we go higher, I think we're in blast off territory, and you want to get behind it too. That's all.
No, it's a great look here, Strazza. Well done. Yep, for sure, 100%. I want to give a shout out to Prime Rib.
Yeah, good.
I was literally going to give a shout out to brisket. So
yeah, Strazza, go get yourself 6 pounds of prime rib-eye roast. Have them cut out the bone and tie it back together, and call me.
You got to go to the butcher for that.
Yeah, go to the butcher like a normal person. You don't go to butchers?
I mean, you're always telling me to go to the butcher. I'm like, what butcher?
You got to have a butcher by you. No?
I don't know.
Find yourself, dude. That's the first thing you should have done when you moved there is find out where the nearest butcher is. What's the matter with you?
There are lots of farms. I'm sure I can find a butcher.
Find yourself a butcher.
Yeah.
Get 5 pounds of ribeye roast, 6 pounds, and lots of herbs. You want to get sage, rosemary, and thyme, and lots of butter, the Irish butter.
Oh, yeah, dude. How good is the Irish butter? Amish butter, also fantastic, by the way.
I'm hearing the French butter. There's this French butter that we got to start getting.
Yeah.
Schaffer sent the link. I trust him.
French butter? Yeah. I don't French anything. Yeah, if Mike Wilson said it, I mean.
Too much food talk this early in the morning, man. Come on.
Spencer, are you fasting today, Spencer?
Tomorrow, but I try not to eat this early. But now you guys make me hungry.
That we talk about food then. What would be a good time for us to talk about food then? Let us know so we can do that.
Goddamn quail egg in the uni.
I will let you know, Steve. My recess is just
Hold on. On the topic of food, Spencer, okay. I ordered the Anchor Bar wings from Old Belly. You've done that, right, JC? Yeah. So I got 50.
Duff's is better.
What is?
Duff's is better.
All right, I'll try that next. But I thought it went really well because you got to be careful with the Gold Belly. You can't just order anything because you get the whole reheating situation. The way they reheated was just fantastic, and that wing sauce is hard to beat, man. So good.
I don't want to hate on Anchor Bar. I don't mean any disrespect at all. Nothing but love. But I got to tell you, I've done the side-by-side taste like at least a half dozen times. Oh, yeah. I don't fuck around.
Okay.
Duff's is the better.
All right, I'm going to try them. Anchor Bar did invent the wing, though.
Yeah, allegedly.
Maybe. No, my recess is just really a PSA. It's Monday, and every Monday at 1 o'clock, we do a show called Chart Request Live. You send us your requests, we will answer them on the show. So email us. I'm going to put the email on the screen right now. There it is, questions@stockmarketmedia.com. Sam, aren't you on the show today? I think you are
on the show today. It's going to be
Sam is on the show.
Better be there.
So 1 o'clock, email your requests. And Sam, if you want to talk about, I don't know, pick a stock, pick a random stock, then they'll talk about it, right? Provided there's enough volume, and
you get bonus points if you bring me a random commodity stock.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Bonus points.
The cryptos are digging in at the VWAP.
Sam, what do you got?
I was just going to give a shout out to brisket. JC kind of already nailed that one. But brisket. Yeah, I ate way too much barbecue this weekend. And I need to do that more often because it brings a lot of joy to my heart.
Dude, my butcher takes the brisket ends and makes jerky out of it.
Ooh.
I'm telling you right now, this is the great. I'm not like Mr. Beef Jerky guy, but he takes the brisket ends and makes jerky with that because you can't mass produce that. So it has to be a local butcher that just does it because he's a nerd. And mine is, and that jerky is so freaking good.
Is that like burnt ends jerky?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude,
Sam knows about
your mouth.
Burnt ends.
Oh yeah,
Kansas invented the burnt ends, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
pretty legendary.
All right,
JC, you're giving out $1 million worth of game for free today. All right, I don't know what that means, but
you know what I'm saying. Just listen, prime ribeye roast. You have one job. Don't overcook it. That's it. One job. And so some people like to sear it at the end. To me, that's too risky. You want to sear early on, right? Because if you're already going and you haven't seared it yet at the end, you're fucking it all up. You don't want to do that because it's expensive. These things aren't cheap. You're gonna drop 200 beans on the on a 5-pound ribeye roast. That's not
All
nothing.
right, I'm getting very hungry. Let's wrap this up.
Sear first, then slow.
We should do a show just about food.
I know. Me and Spencer are gonna make a list of hacks. We'll get back to
you. Kenny's going live at 11. Sam and Alfonso live at 1. Chat request live. Be there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Go make some money. All right.
YOLO responsibly.
Happy Monday.
Run it.